All right, today we're going to talk about how to combine like terms. So before we learn how to combine like terms, we need to know a little bit more about expressions and the terms contained within those. There's a constant term, and a constant term is a term that is a number only, just a solid number, 5, 6, -2. A variable term is a term that has a variable or is the product of a number and a variable, okay? And then variable terms have a coefficient, and the coefficient is the number part of the variable term. It's what they're multiplying the variable by, okay? So when we were looking at this expression here, 5x squared plus 3x plus 3, there are three separate terms in this expression. 5x squared is a term, this plus 3x is a term, and that positive 3 is a term. Two of those terms are variables because they contain variables. So the 5x is a variable term, and the 3x is a variable term. The constant term is just the term that is just positive 3. We also have like terms, okay? And like terms are terms that contain the exact same variable with corresponding variables having the same power. So if we look at this expression here, we notice that we have, let's see, I think I got it, 5x is a term, positive 2x is a term, and -4 is a term, okay? There are two terms in there that are like terms. 5x and 2x are like terms because they have the exact same variable, okay? So when we combine like terms, well, combine means to add. So we can add terms with the same variable together as well as the constants together. So let's take a look at these two that we have here, okay? I've got the expression 6a plus 2a. Well, those are both variable terms, and they are like terms because they have the exact same variable. So I can add these two together. And so it's basically, I've got 6 A's, and I'm going to add 2 A's to it, and that's going to give me a total of 8A, okay? On the other expression there, we've got 7x plus 4 minus x. Well, 7x and -x are like terms. And then we have the constant by itself, which is just positive 4. When I have a term, a variable without a coefficient in front of it, there's always what I like to call the ghost of 1 standing there, okay? Because you can multiply any number by 1 and not change its value because of the multiplicative identity property. So basically what we're doing here is we're adding 7 plus a -1, which would give us a 6. So we have 6x. We can't combine this with anything. It's not 4 and 6x aren't like terms, so I just bring it down and I've got 6x plus 4. Let's just try a few of these. And what I like to do when I'm working with combining like terms is I always like to box them in so I can see my terms. In this first one I have 8b and I have a -b, okay? Well, they are like terms because they have the same variable. Remember, we've got a ghost of 1 there. So I can combine these two together. Combine means to add. I'm going to add their coefficients, so that I'm really adding 8 plus a -1. Well, 8 plus -1 is 7, so that would be 7b if I combine those like terms. On the next expression, we've got 2r and we've got a positive r. Well, they both have the exact same variable. I've got a coefficient of 1 on this one. They're both positive, so I'm adding 2 plus 1, which makes it a total of 3r. Let's take a look at these next two. I'm going to go ahead and box them in. So I've got 2c, we've got a positive 8, got a -7, and I have a positive 3c. When you box your terms in, just remember that the operation sign in front of the term itself goes with that term. So right now, I can see that I've got variable terms that are the same. I've got C and C. I've got 2C and 3C, so I'm adding 2 plus 3, so that's 5C. So I've got that taken care of. Now I'm going to combine an 8 plus a negative 7. Well, 8 plus negative 7 is positive 1, so I bring it down as a plus 1. Our next expression over here is, I have a negative 7k, I have a negative 4k, I've got a positive 5 and a negative 3. We do have like terms because we have two variable terms that have k in them, and both of them are negative. One of them's a negative 7k and the other one's a negative 4k. So the math we're going to be doing is negative 7 plus negative 4. When we add integers together, if they're both negative, we're going to get a negative answer. So I'm going to have negative 11k. Now I'm going to combine the 5 and the 3. When I add constants or integers together and the signs are different, I'm subtracting their absolute values. So 5 take away 3 is 2. 5 has a higher absolute value, or there's more positives than there are negatives, so my answer is going to be a positive 2. So we have negative 11k plus 2 after we combine those like terms. Let's do one more example here before we get started on our assignment. This one is a little different. What do you see different on this one? Well, let's look at our terms. We've got a 6x, we've got a positive 3x squared, we have a negative x, and we have a negative x squared. Remember, if there's no coefficient in there, there's always a ghost of 1 standing there. So, how many different, or do we have like terms here? Well, all of them have x's in them, but if you remember, those variable terms have to have the same exponent on those variables to be like terms. Well, there's two that have an exponent of 2 or to the second power, and then there are two that just have it x to the first power. So, and I got that one drawn to the wrong line. Let me fix that real quick. And so there's one. So when we go to combine these, I'm going to put my x squared first because we go alphabetical order and the highest power first. So I've got a positive 3x and a negative 1x squared. When I combine those, what I'm actually doing is I'm adding 3 plus negative 1, which is 2. So I have 2x to the second power. And then we've taken care of those. So we're going to come back up here and we're going to get our variable terms, which just have the variable x. And I've got a positive 6x and a negative 1x. So 6 plus negative 1 is positive 5, so that would be plus 5x. Okay? I hope that helps you, and if you have any questions during your assignment, please be sure to reach out to me.